Remember when Xbox meant something? Yeah, that's been a while. It had an identity, a purpose. You bought an Xbox because you wanted Halo. Nowadays, things are kind of a mess. But Xbox's newest CEO, Asha Sharma, is willing to wage war against the other industry titans, and she thinks despite the impossible odds stacked against them, that Xbox could rival or even surpass PlayStation and Nintendo, and no, I'm not even kidding. Look at this from Pure Xbox. Asha Sharma confirms herself that she wants Xbox to become so powerful that they end up surpassing their competition by 2030, which doesn't give them a lot of time, and a lot of people are also questioning whether Xbox can even do this in only 4 years. My guess, not likely, but Asha Sharma believes that it's possible. Here's part of what she said during an interview. "We've done so much to start to revive Xbox. We've shipped more in the last 100 days than we have in the last year. We've been able to reset Game Pass after an 8-month decline. It's now returned to growth and expanding retention, and most importantly, we're starting to get back to being closer to our players and our community." She continues, "I think the next 100 days we have to reset the business. We need to look at how we're investing, how we're prioritizing, change how we operate in order to return to growth and in order to be where the world plays." Asha then flat out says it here. "I'd love to see us be the #1 gaming and entertainment company." So Xbox's new CEO truly does believe that she can turn this struggling giant into the most powerful company in video games and entertainment, which is, that's a take all right. I guess I'll ask you guys, but does Xbox really have what it takes to overthrow PlayStation and Nintendo by 2030? It's not even clickbait. That's literally what the CEO just said. I think Sony has been making a ton of bad decisions lately. That much is very true. Nintendo, however, they're kind of their own beast, existing in their own plane of existence, completely divorced from pretty much everybody around them, which is how Nintendo likes to be. They haven't really been competing with anybody for years now. I mean, the Switch infrastructure is uniquely Nintendo. No wonder like the Steam Deck was made, and why PlayStation allegedly wants their own Switch-like device too, because Nintendo has pretty much eaten that handheld console hybrid pie all along for like way too long. But then you have Xbox. They're kind of just sitting there, rotting. I mean, Game Pass, according to Asha Sharma, is back to growth, which I mean, okay, good for them, but we need more than just words, you know? And again, she wants this done by 2030. That's 4 years from now. And they're fighting an uphill battle themselves while waging this war they think that they can win. It was actually confirmed by Xbox's chief strategy officer, Matthew Bell, that currently Xbox has to survive its own failings before it tries to go to war with anybody else, as GameSpot reported here. Xbox confirmed they lost millions of subscribers to Game Pass after Phil Spencer and the previous leadership jumped the price of Game Pass from like $20 to almost $30 instead. It was a catastrophic business decision. Yeah, I know, and they're still recovering from it. Matthew Bell confirmed as seen here that Asha Sharma's push to reduce Game Pass's overall price from $30 or so to $23 already, it did cause massive jumps in subscriptions, which yeah, that makes sense for obvious reasons. But a caveat of all of this is that Call of Duty games would no longer be featured day one with Game Pass, which Black Ops 6 and 7 were, by the way, because a lot of money was clearly not being made in the long run by including these games on the service because people didn't have to buy it on Xbox. In 2024, Game Pass had about 34 million subscribers. If they shed millions, I mean, I would wager they're somewhere in the 20 million to maybe 29 million range for subscribers as we speak. Still a high number, I know, and again, it shows how the previous leadership really cooked everything with their moronic decisions. Either way, declaring war on PlayStation and Nintendo like Asha has can only really be met with skepticism, since it got some bad news that leaked internally, as The Verge reported here. Turns out Xbox has been planning for a while now to lay off a large amount of their staff in the coming months, and this has been confirmed by Xbox itself to be real. The current date of this mass layoff will be in July, so next month, as this video being made, and these layoffs are being called significant. And there's rumors it won't just be layoffs, but entire studio closures as well that could also happen. No idea as of yet who though. I guess give me your guesses. Which studio could it even be? PC Gamer, for example, decided to go scorched earth on Asha Sharma and Xbox leadership following this leak of mass layoffs and studio closures here, where they called it Xbox speedruns were so back to It's So Over pipeline at a speed previously thought impossible. The exact article that PC Gamer is pulling from where they attack Asha Sharma and Xbox leadership is this one published by Asha Sharma and Matt Booty themselves, which is this one on screen called Next 100 Days Xbox Reset. So in the first paragraph, as you can see here, Xbox leadership confirms they had about an 8-month plus period where subscriptions were in a downward trajectory, which is interesting that they're being so open about this considering the implications of admitting it. Xbox leadership further details, as you can see, that their #1 goal and biggest hurdle has always been attention of the masses. I brought this this up in my previous video on Destiny and Bungie, but it's the same for every single company right now. This isn't unique. Everyone is fighting over your attention. It's all that matters to them. They just want your eyes. Because if you're paying attention to Xbox, it means you're not spending time on PlayStation, Steam, or any other places. It's a forever war where these companies need to create reasons for why you have to spend your money and time there. The second point, Asha Sharma gets very blunt. Let me read it for you. We will end this fiscal year at about a 3% accountability margin, down year over year, excluding Activision Blizzard King over the past 5 years. We have spent over $20 billion on ongoing investments in our content platform and hardware subsidiary, but our annual revenue has declined nearly $500 million during that time. Going forward, this cannot continue. Also, wait a second. So 3% accountability margin, like what? Let me explain that to you in case you don't really understand it. You see, a 3% accountability margin means that for every $100 that Microsoft earns, that once the expenses are paid for, like paying for labor, rent for the building that the studio is operating, and other expenses, you get the idea. That means that Xbox is currently only keeping about $3 for every $100 they make after paying for everything that needs paying. I can make it even more dire for you, okay? This means that for every $1 billion that Microsoft sells in revenue, they're only making about $30 million off of Xbox once it's all said and done. And that is bad. Oh my goodness, dude. Holy moly, that's bad. So you bet it can't, but like, what's the solution, right? How do you even get out of a problem this huge created by the previous leadership? Well, it turns out, Asha Sharma confirms there's another big problem that is plaguing Xbox and really everybody too. Let me read it for you. We are in a hardware component crisis. When I joined as CEO in February, the price we paid for console storage components was over 2 times as high as we paid last fall. These costs have since doubled again, and as we plan for the 2027 holiday season, we expect another significant increase, taking us over 5 times the price we paid only 2 years earlier. Memory costs have followed a broadly similar trajectory. While the entire industry is facing a component crisis, we believe we have been impacted more greatly than many of our peers due to the choices we made over the last half-decade. And then she confirms they're committed to Helix, which is the codename for the next Xbox, but that's insane. However, not unique to them, I know. Everybody's paying more for memory, mostly due to AI data centers and the like. It's a big reason why PS5s and Switch 2s have ballooned in prices too, alongside the Steam box as well. The reality is that everything has gotten more expensive. We all know this, and I know I'm not alone in not buying every new game or watching every new movie that comes out because it's just too much money, man. I'll circle back to this Xbox leadership post in a bit, but we do need to talk about money and how that's affecting Xbox right now, as Insider Gaming confirmed here. Asha Sharma believes very different models need to exist for the future of console gaming so that it can still exist and work properly. I figure I would let Asha Sharma say it herself. Here's what she had to say about this during an interview recently, so please watch.
We will, continue to look at new business models, I think, is what is needed for console, rather than just the most premium, high-performance console in the world. I think we've reached a point where it will be hard to imagine that mass audiences can afford thousands of dollars to spend on a console generation. And so I think we will start to see radically different business models that we never expected start to come into orbit later this year.
So as you saw, what Asha Sharma is alluding to is that graphical performance and such can no longer be the driving force of why someone buys a new console. The reality right now, and let me know if I'm wrong guys, call me out even, if a new PS6 or whatever were to drop next month, how many of you could reasonably actually afford a brand new console amidst everything else costing the way that it does? The PS5 alone right now in Canada, where I live, is very expensive. Imagining a PS6 with all the bells and whistles, probably going to need new controllers and the like, the price would easily surpass $1,000. How can that even be something realistically attainable for most people? It wouldn't be, that's the point. I don't think many people could even afford that. Food alone these days is expensive. Never mind trying to go out to eat. You seeing some of the prices the food is at restaurants these days, guys? No wonder a lot of people are eating at home. I don't blame you at all. Either way though, the radical different business model has me interested. It makes me wonder what that even means. My first thought is payment plans for new consoles or even games. Because the economy is cooked when things like Domino's Pizza, for example, as you can see here, is offering 6-week payment plans so you can finance your pizza so you can eat it now and pay it later. I wish I was kidding, but this is a real thing that many pizza places are offering now. At what point do we need to stop and think, hang on, why are we even needing these models for something like this? But that's how bad it's gotten, in my opinion. That same thing could happen for new consoles. I mean, it already exists for current ones. For example, PlayStation is seen here, it's called Flex. You can actually rent a PS5 console alongside accessories for smaller amounts of money officially through Sony's website so you can play their games. Yes, renting, I know. And seen here, the prices in euros is further detailed. You can also rent a PS Portal, for example, even controllers for PS5 can be rented. VR bundles are available too, and I think that's kind of what Asha is maybe referring to. Because if you saw Xbox Helix or PS6 and the price is, who knows, $1,300 Canadian or $1,000 American for the newest console, most people are going to go, you know what, I'm good, thanks. But if it's $15 a month to own a PS6 or a Helix, people might stop and go, maybe. I mean, what's $15? And that's kind of how they get you. It's why subscription services are so popular, right? How many times have you seen a new movie come out and you went, yeah, that looks good, but yeah, I'm not going to watch it in theaters. I'll just wait till it hits Prime or something. I know I have. Like that Project Hail Mary movie looks good, but I'm lazy. So yeah, I'm going to wait till it hits a service. I could afford it, but yeah, I'll just wait, you know? Games might be the same way too. Like for example, right? Oh, a new Call of Duty, but it's $80? No. But ooh, I could pay $5 a month to play it now and then cut my subscription whenever I want. Well, maybe I could play the new Call of Duty, I guess. I mean, it's $5. That's not bad. Okay. And I think that's going to become more normalized because otherwise the next generation of hardware might not be as widely accepted, right? Xbox or not, because people just can't really afford these things. And we've seen how this business model has affected even games. Go look at Doom. Doom Eternal, for example, in 2020 sold over 3 million copies in 10 days. Dark Ages, the sequel, or I guess prequel, sold about 1/3 of that in its own release window years later. But Dark Ages also reached 3 times the players that Eternal did via Game Pass, so it might have failed one way but succeeded farther in another way. That's a changing landscape of how people play games. It's unfortunately how things are going to go, whether we like it or not. Circling back to the Xbox post by the leadership, as seen here where I highlighted, Asha Sharma confirms that the battle for attention is still ongoing. And Xbox, in her own words, has overextended their reach, and they are not, in their words, funding the franchises that people want enough of in the future. Where is the single-player Fallout games? No idea. Here's Fallout 76 again. God help me. As the leadership then says here, our current platform infrastructure is not built for the battle ahead. Our systems are overly complex, spanning hundreds of dependencies, which hinders our ability to move fast. We've become too reliant on vendors to operate our systems and must become more self-reliant as an engineering culture to build for the future. We must increase the value we ship to players while decreasing the time it takes to do so. There's a lot to unpack there. So vendors, they probably mean brick and mortar stores, you know, Best Buys, your GameStops, that kind of thing. Xbox, and really everybody, who are we kidding, is also battling with another big problem, which is time. This was actually the number one thing talked about across Summer Games Fest, which is that games in general take way too long to make compared to other mediums. A movie can be made for far quicker. Some can be made for next to nothing and make hundreds of millions of dollars like Obsession did. Yet a video game will take years, and everyone, not just Xbox, is fighting with the idea that they all need to make things faster. Because the quicker things get made, the more attention you can grab from people away from their competitors. And hey, it makes sense. But it may mean that a lot of hard things need to happen. For starters, companies will start relying on AI for more, whether people want to or not, to make their games, because a lot of humans have to rest, eat, and take breaks. How dare they? AI game developers, however, they can work day and night. They don't have families to go home to. They don't need food. They can work constantly. And that's a reality that's going to happen to some capacity. Whether I like it or not doesn't really matter. That's what's going to be pushed if companies want to meet these demands the way that they want to. I mean, look at Sony, right? How long does it take a single game to get made these days over there? It's stupid. You're lucky to get maybe 2 games out of a single first-party studio in like an entire generation before they're moving on to the next one. The only company Sony owns right now that can reliably release games somewhat regularly, I guess, is Insomniac. Or the people that make like the MLB games, I guess. But you look at like Naughty Dog or others, it's like 1 game every few years at best. Like that can't continue. Because every day, month, or year that passes where your next big game isn't available, people are going to avert their attention elsewhere. And these companies, they need your eyes. Like that one Meat Canyon sketch about XQC. It's literally the same thing.
If I could just find it. Wow.
We already know that Xbox has gone down a weird path with exclusives, having many games coming to PlayStation as well, but Gears of War E-Day and Clockwork Revolution are now instead being held back as Xbox exclusives. Weirdly, Asha Sharma got heat from Bloomberg recently too. As this post recites, Xbox leadership is now in hot water because they pulled a Halo campaign evolved trailer from Sony's State of Play, which may have damaged their relationship. Yet Asha Sharma, when pressed about exclusives, said candidly this has to be done, in her opinion, to make Xbox something that people actually want to invest in. Here's what she said about this. Please watch this clip.
The number 2 publisher in the world, and when you do that, you want your games to be everywhere. You're stronger when the world plays with you. At the same time, we are increasingly becoming more of a platform, and it's hard to find examples of platforms out there that don't have exclusive services and content. And so this is a journey for us. Our business isn't particularly healthy, as you noticed, as you noted. And so we're starting by introducing 1 to 2 signature exclusives. And as the business is healthy, we will look to try and do more.
The key word there is healthy, right? Asha Sharma knows that Xbox is anything but that currently. So this push for exclusivity is an attempt to fix this. I can't blame them either, since Sony is doing the same thing right now as well. Nintendo, of course, has never budged when it came to exclusivity, as they will always refuse to release Super Mario or Zelda on anything that's not owned by them. I can only imagine Nintendo's profit margins, man, but Asha Sharma is also getting heat for another narrative being pushed allegedly by her. As seen here, she claims they can't make Xboxes fast enough to meet demand, which I don't know if I believe that one. Especially when you just said the business of Xbox is not in a healthy place. If consoles were flying off shelves, that wouldn't be the case now, would it? I don't know, man. That sounds like cope to me and snake oil salesman stuff, but PC Gamer is seen here. They collect everything that Xbox has said recently, and it kind of stinks, I gotta be real. How can you declare war on PlayStation and Nintendo and whatever and say you'll beat them in 4 years from now, while also admitting that your business is not healthy, layoffs are incoming, studios will be closing, and your entire platform, in your own words, are not built for the battle ahead? And then you expect this to mean that you can win this war that you're imposing in just 4 years. I just can't see this happening. Don't get me wrong, I wish them the best, I really do, but bless their hearts. I doubt it'll be the way that they want it to go. PC Gamer continues grilling Xbox here as well, where they say that Microsoft has no plan, as they resorted to asking people on Twitter what they should even do with the company, which kind of reeks of please tell us what to do. And yeah, I kind of agree. Okay, getting feedback from Twitter can be good to a degree, don't get me wrong, but maybe don't base your entire billion-dollar corporation on one website alone, is kind of what I'm saying. PC Gamer also just continues to rip into Xbox that it's pointless to show. They even allude near the end of their own article that we're all pretty much being served a sandwich that's full of waste while being stuck at the buffet, so to speak. Either way, this still circles us back to the same thing, right? Before Xbox, they had an identity and a vision. And clearly right now, I gotta be real, they don't seem to have one at all. You would buy an Xbox for Halo and Gears, stuff like that. Now you have no idea what's going to happen in the future. I think the biggest question Xbox should be answering in 2026 is not whether they have enough money or talent, or if they can win this self-proposed war that they want to wage. They should then have to answer a simple question, which is, what even is Xbox anymore, like as a concept? Because from everything presented here, the more you look into Xbox, the harder it becomes to really pinpoint. Are they a console-exclusive platform? Is this all Game Pass? Can they beat Sony at their own game? It's kind of all over the place with no clear answer. In my opinion, Xbox kind of lost their identity. When I say Nintendo, you know what that that whole thing entails. Sony these days, it's kind of nebulous, let's be real, but with Xbox, it's even more messy. You say Xbox, they'll say Game Pass, cloud gaming, acquisitions, being everywhere, okay, but at some point, this vision stops feeling like a vision to me. It instead just feels like a collection of disconnected objectives chasing quarterly growth targets. Like Microsoft spent billions building what should be the most powerful portfolio of games and studios in the history of video games. On paper, they sound unstoppable. Halo, Doom, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Call of Duty, Diablo, Fable, Gears, Viva Pinata, anybody? Yet despite this, they struggle to define what they are anyways. It's kind of remarkable in a way. They have all these resources, yet they lack a direction. The acquisitions maybe solved Microsoft's content problem, but it did nothing for their identity because they don't really have one. Halo's the best example of this. Halo's supposed to be Xbox, yet the past decade of Halo has been very comparable to a symbol of Microsoft's strategy, constant reinventions, priorities shifting, uncertain futures even, long dev cycles, strategies constantly changing all the time. Like, it was never a lack of money or technology, it was that the leadership couldn't decide what Halo was was supposed to be, even though Bungie gave you guys the franchise telling you exactly what it should be, but I don't know, I guess. The audience notices and could tell you what's wrong with Halo immediately because fans aren't stupid. They can tell when a franchise has a clear creative vision and when it doesn't. And they can also tell when things like Halo are being steered by committee, like it is right now. Xbox needs to basically realize that people fall in love with games and worlds based on the characters, stories, and experiences. The danger for Xbox is that somewhere along the way, that business strategy began overshadowing the brand itself, and that's very evident. Saying that Xbox is everywhere is kind of also their problem. It's ironic even. Because if Xbox is everywhere, then why buy an Xbox? That's not even an attack. That's a genuine question of mine. Because before you buy a console for the exclusive of that identity, today it's play anywhere, access everything. Their problem is that ecosystem that they made doesn't really inspire the brand loyalty an iconic platform did before. Because again, people don't build lifelong memories around an ecosystem. They build them around games. Xbox, and well, really everybody, has become so obsessed with scale and subscriptions. They kind of seem to have forgot that all anybody really cares about is great games and experiences. The companies that remember that lesson, they're going to thrive in the future. And the companies that forget it, well, they risk becoming trapped in an endless cycle of restructures, acquisitions, and strategy pivots like Xbox has been doing for well over a decade now. Hence that 3% profit margin, which is, dude, that is crazy bad. I'm amazed they admitted that one, honestly. But look, in the end, it doesn't even matter. I don't know why I said that, but Xbox has an identity problem, okay? They bought so much, they acquired everything, yet they feel less defined as a brand than ever, really. That's the real danger for them. Not that Xbox is going to disappear or Microsoft leaves gaming. It's that one of gaming's most iconic brands is slowly becoming impossible to distinguish from everything that surrounds it. If the company doesn't know what it stands for, how can you expect the audience to know? But if Xbox wants to win this war, they should probably learn how to wield a sword before they start marching enemies to the gate, you know? And by the way, you gotta hold the handle. If you hold onto the blade, you're just gonna cause a mess. But has Xbox lost their identity? Can they even win this war they want to go to, in your opinion? I guess let me know. Subscribe if you're into that, but are they cooked? What does the future look like to you? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.